Jason, how you doing, dude?
Hey man, good. How you doing?
Good. Found this awesome new brand
Yeah.
I'm really excited about. I wanted to show you. So check this out. Did a little deep dive after I found this brand, a little kind of backstory on it. This is a brand called Strangers, and they make hard candy. And this is actually developed by an Italian design agency called Auge. And I think they're based in Milan and Florence. They always put out absolutely killer work, but this one caught my eye for many obvious and non-obvious reasons. I immediately thought that you would dig this too. So this brand, a little bit of backstory on it, is actually made by a Spanish spice company that's over 100 years old. They were founded in 1912 and they were called Valgoja. And they actually rebranded also with Auge. So this is the parent company that makes this. And they're now called Gova. They have some super iconic old school brands called Taj Mahal and Safinter. And they basically made their name by being the people who put saffron in your kitchen. They were the ones who pioneered the saffron trade and selling it globally as a DTC brand. So really cool that they have this long extended history. And now their first major play outside of this spice category is in this hard candy consumer brand. I think Auge absolutely killed it on this one. There's so many things I want to dive into. First one, straight off the bat, that caught me, the name for hard candy. It's called Strangers.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, that's actually hilarious that they're playing on the idea that you shouldn't take candy from strangers. They even have this tagline here, dare to take candy from strangers. It says, hello, stranger. I don't think we've met before. Neither had the ripe umami of mangoes, the earthiness of roasted coffee,
Um,
and the lively kicks of guarana. So they're playing off this idea that not only is the brand called Strangers, but that the flavor pairings and the taste profiles of these things are not your standard category plays of what candy would be.
and only a spice company can position themselves like that.
Right. And it's interesting too, if you actually look closely at some of these ingredients, acerola, saffron, pepper have these super kind of obscure, not like boilerplate flavors that hard candy companies would have. Really,
They
really cool.
when you pop this up, I was like, are we talking about a cannabis brand?
Right.
It feel like it's a really sophisticated aesthetic for the candy space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like I was trying to pin it. It's almost this psychedelic 70s acid raw type of feel to it. Exactly like you said, positioned in this category that is so overblown with pop maximalism and bright colors and illustrations of fruit and cartoon mascots. What a category standout. It just rejects all of those classic defaults of what the category it sits within.
That's cool.
Yeah. This is the part that really got me. I wanted to pause and chat about this for a minute because this, I think, is really interesting, especially in just the place that we're at right now in the design industry. This is a generative engine. So it's a proprietary app that Auge built for strangers. And it is a unique pattern maker that is based on the taste profiles of the specific candy. So you can see up here in these little parameters, acidity, sweetness, persistence, fruitiness, spiciness. When you pull these little levers, you get a real-time visual output that then becomes the packaging design.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, talk about a design system in the age of emerging tech and all the AI tools out there.
Yeah.
There's an algorithm for flavor profile. That's really cool.
I was thinking about this from the sense of the production pipeline too, right? Like they inevitably, in their success, which I'm sure they're going to have in this category, will have new flavors, new SKUs that come out. And instead of starting over that design work stream of coming up with a brand new package design each time, they can literally pop into their proprietary app, punch in a couple of their flavor profiles, and they've got endless outputs of what their package design can be.
Want to know if they move these sliders and then they're just like, great, this is it. Or it spits out assets and then they do what everybody else does and they take it into Photoshop or whatever tool they're using, and then they just start playing with it and refine it from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the age of vibe coding, I feel like we could just jump into Claude and make that app, you know?
Right. Right. And it becomes this endless asset generator, right? So let's say you have a social campaign you want to run specifically for this flavor profile, mango, coffee, and guarana. You've got endless B-roll frames, right? Of just some beautiful visual architecture that helps to
Mhm.
be a backdrop for type or for video or whatever other imagery you want to use. It's just such a smart design system, like you were saying. And even the way that they do this, their art direction in the video and the brand photography, it has that same kind of psychedelia as the packaging, right? It's things that are so sensory, like fruit exploding in these macro visuals and that vintage lab gear that they're showing.
Yeah.
It feels almost like a fashion ad in a way that's mixed with conceptual art videos.
Yeah. This is probably the biggest compliment I can give these brand builders, but I want to live more in this world.
Right.
It's like a little taste of this world. I wanna dive in and experience this world more.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of got me too on this vintage feel that they've developed is the logo. The
Yeah.
first thing that hit my brain when I saw it, it felt almost resonant to muscle car decal. I was
Yeah.
thinking of Chevelle and Trans Am and Cutlass type of chromed out decal. It's got that super long, elongated tail on the S. And even in the packaging, it has those bevels and the inner shadows and inner glows that make it feel really haptic and tactile. I think that just is an even stronger play into this vintagey feel, which to me ladders up to the fact that the company behind this is over 100 years old, right? There's this layer of heritage that's baked into it. I don't think that you would really get that without doing a bit of research and knowing that they're the ones that made that. But that vintage vibe and that feel comes across immediately.
When you say that, the packaging reminds me of, like, road biking tubes. The packaging for that, the shape of it, the way the logo's at the top. Yeah, being in, like, AutoZone as a kid and just walking through the aisles and seeing all those boxes, brake pads, it does kind of feel like that, which there's more utility to it at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
I think what I'm most impressed with is this is the narrative from a spice company and pairing ingredients of spices that have never been paired together and calling it strangers. And what a provocative position. And doing this in the way of mystery. They didn't put a big 3D flashy like raspberry on the package of like, this is going to be raspberry and tarragon or strawberry and tarragon. You're not seeing the actual ingredients on it. There's this mystique to it that doesn't really exist in the candy aisle.
Yeah, it's a total category rejection in that, right? It's interesting too, though, because they do it super subtly in the color profiles that they picked for each one, right? And that strawberry and tarragon one, it's got the greens and the light pinks and reds, or the chai and ginger has that really nice gingery yellow color. It's almost like the packaging is supposed to give you a sensory feel of what it's going to taste like, as opposed to showing you a picture, like you were saying, of a raspberry or a strawberry. I also love this line here. The pleasure is all yours.
I was just reading that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to show you as well is, like I mentioned in the beginning, so this company Gova, formerly Valgoza, was also redesigned by Auge. And they have a similar vibe and
Mhm.
look and feel too that I think ladders up really nicely to this parent brand. This is where some of that background detail came in here about the historical spice house that it was and still currently is, bringing it into this modernization of the brand as they continue to do these external product plays. I also read that they're getting into skincare as well, which is really interesting. It's got these 70s acid poster vibes to it. I just absolutely love it. Super clean.
It's really smart. So it's a spice company with a 100-year history who is building products with their spices and almost creating this world. They're turning spice into fashion
Yep.
and lifestyle, and abstracting the spices is really interesting too. Like the saffron, this one, yeah, that one right there. That the way they're abstracting the illustration with like textures and colors.
I feel like I'm at the MoMA when I'm taking in this brand. It feels
Mhm.
truly artful. And like you were saying, that abstraction of it, it's super artful. And it feels like, again, you're getting this sensory output of what it's like to experience their products and their spices.
It's also on trend of what we've been talking about in these series of how as everything becomes so perfect and pristine and and on a grid like with redheads of what we talked about, as AI takes on a lot of the production pipeline. There's this trend of being so handmade and so imperfect and messing things up in an intentional way, like the colors over the headline and the spray paint effect and the textures. You do that all with purpose, but it's meant to feel imperfect and tangible and touchable in craft. Despite the craft of taste profiles and spices is coming through here, and it's almost a rejection on perfection in modern design that we see across so many brands.
Yeah. And it's really that desire to get back to the human touch, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, as we know, everything is digitized now. It has to still pertain to those parameters, right? They still need ads and websites and digital assets. Yet, how can they flex the brand and the visual system to be able to bring in that humanism still? I think that you're right. There's a huge shift in the design community towards things like this that feel like they were made with intention and made by a human, yet they still operate in this digital landscape.
This headline in the middle right here, when everything is flat, you need to create creases. They say it right there.
Yeah.
What a great metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be another brand that we talk about that came out of Auge. Absolute props to them. They killed it on this one, especially with some of these ones we've been talking about in the CPG category. You know, that box, the cardstock that they use on that is
Yeah.
super premium. That bevel on the logo is actually embossed and you can feel it. I want to feel what these feel like in hand and what they taste like.
Yeah. I want to live in this world, like I said, like the application they made, that could be LED screens, that could be billboards, that like they need to be making a museum of spice experience where I walk into
Yeah.
that is just a demo to try these different candies.
Yeah. Like what a prime real estate this design system is for an experiential play
Yeah.
like that, right? To be able to create almost like the spice exploratorium.
Bringing this back to what we build in Brand Studio, I just want to get that algorithm in Brand Studio and build them something and not take away the handcrafted feel, but just give them the ability to play with it and control it in ways that they don't really have. Put this out in the world at a fair rate.
Yeah, and have that controllability and making things at, yeah, exactly as you said.
There's such technology behind this. Very cool, man. This is one of my favorites that we've talked about. On to the next one.
Cool.